good morning. So before we get started, if you hear me groan a little bit or flinch or look a little worn out, you'll just have to excuse me today. So I started tweaking my workouts to do some things a little different, not a major overhaul. But I even noticed as I got up this morning, wow, I felt that. And it's crazy because it's not like I changed gyms or changed my routine drastically, but just little tweaks and little things to focus on, and timing and pattern and sets and reps have a large impact. It's like I worked out muscles focusing on my core and stuff that I've never focused on before, and you feel it and it makes a change. And when I got up this morning, I started thinking about the passage we're going to talk about today. And I realized that passage is the same way. If you apply and think about the simple words and little things in this passage, how big of an impact it can really have in our lives and for the lives of others. Today's passage is from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. And it says, "Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres." That's a powerful passage, and we've heard that a lot, and a lot of times, that's one of those passages you'll see on the coffee mugs and you'll see on framed in people's houses and stuff. But let's break it down. There's a lot in here. We all think we know what love is. It's a fundamental foundation of our belief and as followers of Christ. But this gets into details. This is that tweaking I talked about. When you really look at it, are we really practicing our love and showing our love in the way the Bible guides us? Love is patient. It's hard to be patient sometimes in today's world. We're always in a hurry. We're always trying to get our stuff done first, so we lose our patience with others. Love is kind. Kindness is something this world's lost. It's either you're on one side of the fence or the other, and we forget. Love is kind. It doesn't envy. It doesn't get jealous of what others have and what they're doing. It focuses on itself. Love doesn't boast. It doesn't brag. It doesn't have to. It stands on its own merit. Love's not proud. Love's about being humble. It's not walking around with your chest puffed up and a look at me. Love's not proud. It's humble. It works in the quiet places. It does not dishonor others. It doesn't bash others and make fun of others and pick on others. It's not self-seeking. It's not true love does not try to only let you gain personal benefits. It's not easily angered. And it keeps no record of wrongs. Wow, how many times do you keep a scorecard? Oh, that person did that. They owe me. Oh, I'm going to pay them back. I'm keeping a score. Love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices with the truth. There is no love in evil things. It can only flourish in God's truth. And love's always protecting. It's always builds trust. It always hopes. There's always a better tomorrow. And it always perseveres. It always lasts and endures. So why is this verse famous? Well, it's one of the most popular descriptions of love in history. We've all heard it read at weddings. It's quoted in endless number of songs. And it's treasured for its picture of what real love really is. So when you talk about this verse, the verse is not about romantic love, okay? It's not about the love between you and a spouse. It's not that romantic, intimate love. It's not Ooh, that warm feeling with your first boyfriend and girlfriend, or the love you have for a fiance. It's about love in general. It's about the kind of love that can only be given through God. Now, specifically, Paul wrote this, and it's a letter to the Corinthians, to the church in Corinth in Greece. And the church at that time was full of conflict. So the church is flourishing and growing. And they're getting more members and they're getting money. And like most things, when you start growing, having success and more money, you tend to run into some conflict. And the church was having some conflict. Think about it like the church is growing and the pastor's growing in stature, and all of a sudden he appoints his son to be in charge of the music department. His son can't play the harp to save his life. And all of a sudden his daughter's in charge of singing, and she can't carry a note in a bucket. And he puts his brother in charge of maybe the building facility, and he's always taking a nap in back. He puts his brother-in-law in charge of treasury and finances to give himself a pay raise. The church is in conflict. Everybody's kind of jockeying for position because they want a prominent role, and they're losing the meaning of the message of Christ and about the love that God has for us and the love that Jesus showed. The people are arguing and competing, and they're missing the whole point of what it meant to follow Jesus. So Paul reminds them through this passage that the one thing that matters most, that their purpose as a church, as a body of Christ, is to show love. It's to show love like Jesus. So from friendships to family, let's be honest, relationships can be kind of tough to navigate at times. But if there's one thing that sets relationships apart, it's the understanding of real love. So in this first letter he wrote to the Corinthians in Greece, he's trying to explain to them, even if you have all the faith, all the knowledge, all that head knowledge, all the generosity in the world, even if you're out there speaking tongues and having powerful services, if you have the gift of prophecy and you can even predict things, none of it means anything without love. Now, chances are, it starts out, love is patient and kind. And chances are you want to be a patient person, right? You intend to be a kind human being. You desire to be just content with yourself and humble as an individual. But sometimes we get in a hurry. We have a to-do list. We have a daily routine. I have the things that I got to do today. So instead of paying attention to people and focused on them, I'm distracted by my phone, or I'm distracted by my to-do list. And I got so many things to do that I can't pause and slow down and show love and respect to other people because I'm focused on me. And sometimes we get annoyed with other people. They just start annoying us. You just wish, hey, I ain't got time for you today. Move on. And sometimes, let's admit it, you can be rude, you can be selfish, jealous, unthoughtful, even arrogant at times. Because we're so busy trying to keep up with everybody else and all the things we have on our plate, we forget that our purpose as followers of Christ is to show love, particularly the love that Jesus displayed for us. So sometimes we just it's really hard being a human being. All those things are natural, it's just hard. But God knows that, and He wants to help us. In this same letter that Paul wrote to the Corinthians, it's a great reminder for us that love, he goes on to say, it keeps no record of wrongdoing, and it only rejoices in the truth. And yet, so many times as human beings, our nature is we want to keep score. I remember that time that person said this about me or about my kids. this person did this to me in a business deal. I remember that time. That person, I do everything I can just to avoid them and walk away from them. But Paul's reminding us, true love doesn't keep score. It rejoices in the truth of forgiveness. It's always there to protect us and for us to use our love to protect those around us, to put trust in people, to hope. Even as crazy as the world can seem today, to have hope for a better tomorrow. And we know love perseveres. And most notably, we're told in Paul's writing, love never fails. But we sit there and we say, but why does love sometimes seem to fail in this world? After all, divorce rates get high. There's estranged families are commonplace. There's them relatives you don't like or you haven't spoke to, or siblings, and there seems to be discord, and maybe it's in your church or somebody at work you just do everything you can to avoid. Why? Because there's so much brokenness in the world, we tend to focus on the worldly aspect. And the brokenness of this world is evident just about every news broadcast, social media feed. Somebody's attacking somebody, somebody's in a disagreement, and it distorts what we're being taught here about what true love is. And let's be honest, on our own, we're not capable of living up to the standards in today's passage, because we are human, we are broken, we are born of sin. And that's exactly why Jesus came. To give us that very example to follow of how we are to live and to show our love. He offered himself as the ultimate sacrifice for the redemption of the entire world, for all that brokenness, all that scorekeeping and bitterness and impatience and all that self-preservation and self-seeking that we humans tend to gravitate towards. He said, here's what real love looks like. To lay one's own life down. He tells us in John chapter 15, verses 12 through 13. Jesus said, my command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And he's telling his disciples this, in time leading up before he goes to the cross. I showed you how to love, and I'm getting ready to lay my life down. And as my followers, that's what I expect you to do as well. Real love puts others first. It's not about emotions. It's not about romance. It's not what Paul's telling us here. He's talking about a daily choice to be patient, kind, forgiving, humble. Real love puts others first. It's not keeping score of who did you wrong. It gives us something to hold on to and hope. And it's a hope that never gives up. This is the way that God loves us. And it's the kind of love He's calling us to show to the people around us. It's God's love. If you could sum up the gospel of Christ in one word, what would it be? It's probably going to be love. In John 3:16, the most famous verse out there, John wrote, "For God so loved the world." And we're shown that without love, all your accomplishments, all of our actions, everything we do, we're told is worthless. So we have to ask ourselves, wow, what things do we love then? And why do we love? Well, God is love, and we're made in His image to be like Him, so we have to show that same love. And the things we love, if you wrote down or made a list, you're going to have lots of examples. You're going to say, oh, I love my spouse and my children and my church, and I love my family and friends. And then it leads to the other question. What else do we love? What do we have to be careful about loving? Things like money, power, possessions. We can fall in love with those things, but those are things of this world. And we're different. We're set apart. As followers of Christ, you're passing through this world on our way back home to heaven. And we want people to know during our time here, our purpose is to share the gospel, to share the message of the love that God had for us by sending His Son Jesus. And how? How do we know people know us as a follower of Christ? How do we know that people can look at our lives and say, they display that kind of love? The answer is given to us in John 13, verses 34 and 35. Jesus said, a new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. And then here's the answer, John 13:35. If you ever want to know, how do people know I'm a follower of Christ? He gives us the answers. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciple, if you love one another. That was it. That was the whole answer. He didn't say by how often you go to church, how much money you give, how many good deeds you give, how many times you helped the little lady across the intersection. He said, by this you'll know, people will know that you're my disciple, if you love one another. How would someone describe you? If you gave 10 sheets of paper to 10 people that know you and said, write one word down that describes me. I just need one word. That's all you can do. When you think of me, what's the word that comes to mind? And you may get words back that say strong, leader, bold, caring, sweet, honest, truthful. How many people will hand you back a sheet of paper that says loving? The first thing I think about that person, the first thing I see in them is their love. And you go, oh, well, that's good. Boy, that's a lot, but I can do that. What about your enemies? Those people that are against you, your rivals, those people that you don't really like, that you do everything you can to avoid, they just kind of get on your nerves. What are we supposed to do with them? Surely, it doesn't include those. Well, Matthew 5:44, Jesus says, but I say love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. That's hard. How often do you pray for the people that do you wrong, that get under your skin, that annoyed you at the end of the day? It's hard. It's really hard. Why should we do it? Well, if you look at today's passage about love is patient, love is kind, I've always said you kind of got to look at a couple verses ahead, maybe a couple after, to take things in context. So why should we show this kind of love even to our enemies? Well, if you read the 3 verses preceding this in 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 3, it says, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all the mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move a mountain, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. That's a high standard. Think about the people in your life today. What would change if you practiced this kind of love towards them? Final thoughts. It's a high standard. But we were called to a higher standard. To be a follower of Jesus, it's a higher standard. And that's what's expected of us. And we should rise to that challenge. And here's the thing. You may say, well, man, that standard of love, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. Good news is you can never be separated from God's love. Romans 8:38 says, and I am convinced that nothing can ever separate us from God's love. Neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither our fears for today nor our worries about tomorrow. Not even the powers of hell can separate us from God's love. So remember, at the end of your life, what really matters, it's not what we bought, it's what we built. It's not what we got, but it's what we shared. It's not our competence, but our character. And it's not our success, but our significance. Live a life that matters. Live a life of love. Live a life that represents 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. And it always perseveres. Have a blessed week. Please share the word with others and invite others to join us here each and every Wednesday morning at 7:30. Have a blessed day.